Welcome to Tune Out Tuesday on Steve and Mark Discuss, where we'll look at slightly general items and discuss what we feel about them. So, here's something that I quite like, and I've never been certain about Steve. Steve, what type of films do you like?
I don't watch films. I watch series on the television, comedy series on the television, stand-up comedy, anything that makes me laugh. In terms of films, I just don't have enough time. Could be that I've not got a concentration span sufficient to watch 90 minutes of a film all in one go. The last time I went to the cinema was when Eddie Murphy was in a film about 24 Hours, I think it was called. Which is a comedy film. And I only went because I was with a girlfriend at the time and she wanted to see it. But in terms of films in general, I think the last one before that one, I think, was The Sound of Music with Mary Poppins when I was a kid.
Ooh, 60s, yeah. 60s and 80s, in fact. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. So what type of TV series do you watch?
Well, like I said, the comedy ones. So you got things like Friends, Seinfeld. They are old series. However, the comedy is still valid today. If you look at, there was things that I used to watch when I was a kid, which wouldn't be allowed now. But however, things like Till Death Us Do Part with Alf Garnett, on the buses when I was a kid. As an adult, I started to watch things like programs like Hill Street Blues, which isn't a comedy, although it is. Then you get things like Scrubs, that I used to watch quite frequently. And there you go. These more or less these light-hearted comedies that you get from time to time. There's one that what's his name wrote recently. I forget what his name is. A British comedian. And it's a typical man meets woman, and eventually they get married and they have kids.
Not Going Out.
There you are.
Yeah. Lee Mack.
It shows how much attention I pay when I watch them, because I don't even know the title of the program, nor who wrote it. How about that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Lee Mack. Yeah. It was quite fun. Yeah. Lee Mack. Yes. Yeah. That's quite. I mean, it is funny. You can see the situations in it. Apparently, he wrote that when he was on the road. I don't think he wrote it alone, but when he was out performing in between performing, he writes it. Yeah.
I think once you get to the sort of later series, it's a little bit like a squeezed lemon. You can only get so much. You can only get so much juice out of it before it stops to become funny.
Yeah.
For me, the funny part is always the chase. Is always the one chases after the other, and the other one for some reason doesn't seem to realize it. Then the other chases after the first one, and they don't seem to realize it.
Yeah.
Or they try to get the chase on both of them, and somebody steps on the ball.
Yeah.
And it's the old, like, Ross and Rachel are friends sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Or the Jerry Seinfeld and the Elaine Bennis. Although in the series they'd already gone out, but you could see that there's still some chemistry there, which made it funny. So, but once that chemistry's gone, there are sort of films that I have watched on telly. I admit, things like Sleepless in Seattle, with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. They did 2 or 3 films.
Yeah.
But it's the chase. It's the humor of the chase. It's the chase and the conquest and the conquest, and that when it's done in a humorous way is quite funny. But in terms of going out to the cinema to watch a film, I've not done that years and years and years and years. I think more than 20 years.
Yeah.
Like I said, Eddie Murphy was the last film.
Yeah, I mean, his quick fire humor. like you said, you went with a young lady at your time. But it's a yeah. I mean, I remember these films. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you're talking about Friends. Actually, we grew up with Friends. Probably the modern equivalent of that would be Not How I Met Your Mother, because that was quite a lame comedy that had some moments in it. Probably Big Bang Theory would be a more modern, successful one.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and the English ones, of course, was It Should Never Happen to a Vet.
yeah,
The Boys from the Black Stuff.
yeah, very dark
You know,
comedy, yeah.
The one about the lads, I think it was called Get Some In, which was
Yeah,
about the army, the army recruits.
That's like 70s, I think, isn't it? Yeah,
That's right. Well, you know, like I said, that's what I watch.
Yeah, I vaguely remember these. Yeah, because it was a
I
little bit.
watched Boys from the Black. I watched Boys from the Black Stuff just the other week.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the guy who plays Joseph Hughes has died now. Recently.
Oh yeah, 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 because he was married to an American actress who was in spaghetti westerns and things. Yeah, and also he was in Lord of the Rings. So my kind of films.
Yes, he was. Yep.
Bernard Hill. Yeah, he's good actor. Actually, he could play anything. Play comedy, play straight. He was on stage. I mean, yeah.
Yep.
I always think that it's about to be as diverse as that. Yeah, and some actors turn down big roles to just stay on stage as well. But anyway, yes.
I think a lot of actors, or most actors, are versatile. They have to be. That's why they are actors.
Yeah.
But I think that once you get sort of pigeonholed into one particular sort of role, then Robert De Niro is one. Where he was always this sort of tense sort of actor.
Yeah.
Who his roles, no matter what they were. I know that he did a film with Helen Mirren. And once again, his character was this sort of really hard to get to know sort of character, and the same could be said about him being in the mafia type movies.
Yeah.
It's same personality, but different movie.
Yeah. I mean, he does method acting actually, but yeah, he's now Pacino the same really. It's the sort of tough guy. Yeah, he does. The unfortunate thing is he's probably done one successful comedy, Meet the Family, I think was the name of it, Meet the Fockers. That was reasonably funny, but again, it was a tense wound character in it. I mean, I think he's a great actor. I'm not always sure about him as a person. But I don't have to be. I don't trust people. It's like, never meet your celebrities almost. I mean, it's always interesting. With me, I'm going to go back to what I used to like. Yes, I used to watch Friends, obviously. I remember, Alf Garnett, Inspector's Part, in The Sickness and in Health. I remember that coming in. Again, you're interesting that it's never been made now. People aren't realizing what his character was all about. It was criticizing what people are accusing it of being. A misogynist, racist bigot. And that was the whole joke behind it.
Yeah, because it always came in second place. It was all. I don't know if you remember Love Thy Neighbor. And the character Eddie Booth, who was a complete racist. Yeah. And this black couple that moved next door, and he was all lovey-dovey with the black man's wife because she was quite well presented, let's say. Yeah. But even so, when he went off on his racist rants, he always came in second place. So he was like the buffoon. Yeah. That was how I think that was at a time when in the UK that even the government, I think even society was wanting to eliminate racism, and so they had to show this person as being a buffoon.
Yeah.
And coming in second place, basically to say if you're racist, you're a loser.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we might call a little bit woke, or a little bit. Yeah, I'm using it in the correct term here. Woke, waking people up. This is what you look like when you do this.
That's right.
Yeah, I do remember. I mean, yeah, I mean, probably a lot of British people, I'm going to say British people, didn't see their first black person outside the cities, possibly even in cities, until probably the 1950s, if not. Yeah, the British were aware of things because we had the Empire, and after that Commonwealth. Yeah, I'm not saying it was a wonderful thing, but there was an awareness. Some of the characters, and ideas were wrong. Some of the warnings, though, about it all were good. I mean, it was trying to show, the black guy in reverse was integrating, doing an absolute good job at integrating, accepting, different, well, not different culture, it was his culture. When you're born in a country, or you accept it, or you're grown up under the umbrella of maybe the British Empire, that's it. You think that way, in a way. And he was the one that was shown to be very tolerant, very understanding, if you like, culturally aware, but also very, very British as well, patriotic and everything else.
Although, go on.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I see it. That's how I remember the show. I haven't watched full episodes for years. Yeah.
Although as a kid, I was an army child, and so I spent most of my tender years outside the UK, in Germany, in a little bit in Egypt, and in Singapore. So I wasn't really aware of black people as such, because everywhere around me was the same, so it didn't really. So the first one that really struck in my mind, the first black person I ever saw, was when I was around about 9 years old, 9 or 10, and it was in a town called Haywood where we used to live, between Rochdale and Bury in Lancashire. And he was the vicar of the local church. I went to the St. James's Church to become a choir boy when I was a kid, because I was sweet and innocent. And this guy, Reverend Price, he appeared, and I remember just looking at him, Now my eyes are quite big, So if you think about shock and awe. And I just looked at him, and he what did I notice about him? I noticed that he was incredibly black.
Yeah.
The palms of his hands were white in relation to the back of his hands. And eventually he just laughed at me because he could see that I was in shock and awe. And I remember his gums were incredibly pink, and his tongue were incredibly pink. That was sort of my first. It was like throwing a bucket of cold water on me.
Yeah,
it's like a wake up. Ooh, there are different people in the UK.
Yeah,
of course. I just thought, this guy's different. That's all. Innocent 9-year-old, 10-year-old thought, this guy's different. Is different.
Yeah,
first time.
Well, that's it. Yeah, variety. Yeah, I mean it's. I mean, I grew up in probably a smaller town, and I mean, we had in my school mixed people as well, and it was never a problem. I can't remember it being a problem. I mean, obviously in the 1980s in Tottenham there were some issues with rioting that was predominantly an ethnicity, but then that probably was a turning point in society in the UK. I'm saying things are perfect now. I mean, yes, it's easy to criticise individual pockets. I think that was, if you like, a wake up of the way, yeah, you do look at this, how sometimes other ethnicities or blacks and others were being treated in the UK at the time by certain individuals. And you've got to remember, there was a time of the real extremists that, you know, that was pretty horrific. That was pretty awful. I mean, when Pink Floyd in 1979, for instance, actually made a film, The Wall, based on the music. I mean, I've seen Pink Floyd in concert 3 times. They actually recruited some neo-Nazis to appear in the film as extras, not quite telling them what they were actually going to be doing there. That's a story I heard. Yeah. And yeah, I grew up film Breaking Wall, you know, Breaking Glass, Hazel O'Connor in it, where she did a scene in it called Black Man, a song called Black Man in it, where I had a scene of a riot in that. It was a, yeah, I remember all this coming in. It was a time of change, evolution, if you like. Obviously, it probably took a while for people to accept. Certainly, I was not brought up in a racist household. Far from it. But yeah, I remember at school I used to hear some awful comments by other students sometimes. But on the other hand, I did hear some other comments back as well. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest here that yeah, it was our whole school was talking about community. Our teacher, our headmaster, used to go up, and he's still about. He used to talk about community. That was what his whole message was. Most assemblies were about community. Okay, it was a Catholic thing as well. Community, community, community. He used to joke about it. We used to call him community. Yeah, but he was making a point here. Yeah, it's interesting. Getting back to films, I remember, I mean, films I like, and they're probably a little bit off your radar. I mean, yes, I would go to the cinema when I was younger. The first film I remember going to see, my mother took me to see, was Mary Poppins at the cinema. Well, again, probably the second or third run of it. I think it's 60s it came out. This must have been in the 70s, where in the original town we lived in Chelmsford.
Every Christmas on the telly.
Yeah, but I went to the cinema to see it with my mother. I think my mother wanted to see it at the cinema. I couldn't think of another reason why she would just take me. And then we would go, yeah, I remember seeing that. I remember seeing other films. I mean, obviously, I remember queuing and going to see the original Star Wars. Yeah, funny enough, just in your cup. Yeah.
Never been a, yeah.
What's up here? I love Star Wars. Well, love Star Wars. I'm not so sure about the latest offerings. Parts of them are good. Yeah. Again, yeah, I love Star Wars. Grew up with it. Yeah, I mean that's it. That's probably one element that's always been in the background of my life. Good old story, good versus evil, cowboys in space, or yeah, different other things. Good family film, really.
Yeah, when you boil it down, when you boil all these films down,
yeah,
Star Wars, yeah, you just hit the nail on the head. It's another story of good versus evil, with bells and whistles on it, basically, yeah. And that's why I don't have much time. It's exactly that is the reason why I don't have much time. Get to the message of the film, get to the message of the story, and then but to have 10-hour long battle scenes with lights and sabers and all this sort of stuff, just to fill out, it just fills out time. It's just for the effects. I did see on the telly Close Encounters, which I thought was interesting, but then Close Encounters was based on real life people who claimed they had these close encounters, and basically all the characters in Close Encounters, all those people who were following the story, except for building the mountain.
Yeah.
But the little boy who went outside, that was registered with the American government.
Yeah.
The people in the car, that was registered with the American government. And so, at least you knew that Close Encounters was based on something, I wouldn't say factual, because we only have the people's, but if you're into UFOs and life beyond Earth, it's the most credible thing that you could have used to bolster your opinion that there probably is going to be life on other planets. Sorry, but I digress. You're back to Star Wars.
No, I mean, no, that's interesting. Yeah, so I was going to say, I mean, I think sometimes, I do realise this, that sometimes, you're quite deep and you like things that think and challenge you a little bit. Whereas I will go to cinema. You joked about this the other day with me in a private conversation, accusing me of being an ostrich, sticking my head in the sand on things. Yeah, I'll go in, as I sort of said this to tune out. I'll go into I like to go and watch a cinema film and lose myself for an hour and a half in non-reality. I like superhero films, for instance, and I like. I'm not saying I don't like real life. I mean, when I was younger, I was about 17. Went to the cinema to go and see Lethal Weapon. I like the Lethal Weapons films. Whether you could claim their reality or not, another thing. Again, the original Lethal Weapons was all about drawing people together, good versus evil, the cops being the good people, the the drug dealers and the murderers and everything else being the bad people.
I've seen this so many times as a kid on the telly. You get Batman, the American series Batman.
Yeah.
The Green Hornet. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Yeah.
Which to me was like the poor man's Batman.
Yeah.
If you like, it was always second string to Batman. But then, I mean, them were in the days when I was, like 10 years old, 8, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah.
I used to watch Batman and the Green Hornet in Singapore.
Yeah.
To give you an idea, so it was pre-67 when I was watching them, and I'll be sat in front of the telly, taking in these stories of good versus bad, but dressed up with different different characters and different clothes, if you like.
Well, I mean, that's it. I mean, it's probably the core thing with them all. It's how entertaining you make it. The Batman, the 60s Batman, was not the original one. The original comic strips were actually very dark places, and even Batman himself, some of the things he did was questionable, and obviously they lightened it up for the TV series. So I didn't think it was going to be a success, really, and it was. They half killed it a little bit, but and even today, it's an iconic landmark television series. Yeah, they made a couple of films from it, which were very hammy and camp, if you know what I mean. And again, in more recent times, there's been TV series Gotham, which is all about a remake. Well, they're going back to the core story of Batman, where he came from. Watching his parents get murdered, seeing a bat, being a millionaire. There's other ironies in it all as well somewhere. Where it becomes very dark and it does things that are probably not necessarily on the level to actually achieve an end goal of clearing the town of evil, as it were. I mean, it's they're all going to be variations of a theme. Keep it simple. I mean, simple does actually win. Yeah.
If I would have known about the film Hangover, which is not good against evil, It's about teamwork and it's about detective work of trying to find out how on earth they were in a situation which was opened up in the first film. It was opened up in the hotel room with the lion in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And you know, and they had to work out how on earth they got to that state.
Yeah.
And they had to work as a team. They had to work and trace back, talking to people. And that is very much like a program that I used to watch when I was a kid called The Flaxton Boys in the UK, which was about Flaxton Hall and the mysteries of Flaxton Hall, which were about discovering, a little bit like Scooby-Doo, if you like. Scooby-Doo, the cartoon Scooby-Doo. Something would be, you get a situation, and then the kids of Scooby-Doo would find out who it was, find out the original perpetrator by doing detective work to get back to the perpetrator. And The Hangover, in a funny way, was done about that. It wasn't good against evil. It wasn't a rom-com. You know, it wasn't the chase. It was something refreshing that let you, because the viewer didn't know the secrets that these guys had.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And once you could only find out by watching the film, and you had to watch the film to discover how it was that they got to that situation.
Yeah, I mean, other more recent TV series over CSI, Intelligent now, and other films, other TV series like this.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah. I mean, really good.
Doctor House.
Well, House is actually based on Sherlock Holmes. You think about it, House, and his best friend, what was it, is Wilson, isn't it? His psychic. Yes, I mean, the investigative work is actually quite close. I think they had a lot of medical help on it. I mean, they put out some really obscure things sometimes. Always quite interesting to watch it. Yeah, because it involves you, and very well acted. British actor playing an American as well, that a lot of Americans don't realise. Yeah.
The Americans, they put out a whole gaggle of detective programs, detective shows, you know, Kojak, Ironside, Columbo, which was my favorite, Columbo.
Yeah.
And you had Heart to Heart. Heart to Heart. And the British had something similar, which was The Avengers.
Yeah.
With Patrick Macnee. My mum was friends with Patrick Macnee's mother.
All right.
When I was a tot.
Yeah.
So, you know, they are, all of these will come under the mystery of deciphering the mystery.
Yeah.
Which to me are always more interesting than just a basic good versus bad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, I know what you mean. Yeah. Sometimes I like to think about things. Other times I just like a straight bang, bang, bang. Yeah, action. I mean, I look at films on their merit. I mean, when I was growing up, we had Knight Rider. Totally ridiculous. Well, autonomous cars. Who'd have thought that? A car that thinks for itself and arrives and can drive itself. I mean, totally obscure thinking there. Artificial intelligence. We watched this. Just change it slightly. We had Airwolf. I loved Airwolf. Even now, I watch clips on it. Totally ridiculous. How could they not trace on the US where there's a chopper, unless you could have a way of showing transducer or hiding. Blue Thunder. Again, that came from a film, which is recently gone back onto Netflix. Which I like these 80s films as well, you know. Again, good versus evil, some mystery involved. Yeah, basic plot. I mean, if I'm watching a film, yes, I want a basic plot. I don't want it to last forever. People say character development sometimes in films. You've got an hour and a half, 2 hours. I don't want to spend time trying to figure out who the character is. He's a good guy, he's a policeman. He might be an ambiguous policeman, but it's obviously he's on this side of the law, even if he crosses that side occasionally. Yeah? And again, yeah, I can figure that out for myself. If it's a TV series that's a little bit more entwined, a little bit more involved, they've got time to actually develop the characters, develop the plot, as it were. Yeah, sometimes you watch films that have evidently been over 3 hours long. They've had to cut them down to an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. You can see that makes no sense at all. They managed that.
I don't know how The Passion of Christ managed to be so popular because it was so long. And it's a story that everybody knew.
Well, that's it. Everybody knew it. Everybody related to it. Yeah. I thought it was a good film. I mean, it's similar now. I mean, The Chosen is most popular TV series or most popular series on a lot of platforms.
Yeah, but they're cut down. They're cut down to like 30 minutes. And if you take out the adverts, 20 minutes.
Well, yeah. I mean, and the subject matter is something people like. I mean, yes, it's what I mean. It's still a simple story, if you like, good against evil almost. I mean, Mel Gibson is now working on the sequel to it. What happens next? The 40 days probably after. Yeah. It's rumored to be the biggest film ever made. Wait and see. I thought it was quite good. It draws from like the medieval things. I mean, none of us were there, obviously.
Depends if he starts putting things in history that aren't factually true.